Most BMW owners think the damage happens when something goes wrong. It doesn't. It happens every single day, during the commute, at the traffic lights, in the car park. Habits so ordinary, so automatic, that most owners never connect them to the repair bill that arrives later. I've seen it hundreds of times in the workshop. A BMW that's been serviced on schedule, never missed an oil change, looks perfect on paper. And the engine, or the transmission, or the suspension is years older than it should be, because of what the owner was doing every single day without thinking. 17 of those habits. Right here. And before we start, mistake number 10. I need you to stay for number 10, because it's the one I see the fallout from more than anything else on this list. Almost every BMW owner does it. Probably every day. You'll recognize it the moment we get there. And you will not look at that button the same way again. Let's go. Mistake number 1. Using regular fuel. Here's what most owners tell themselves at the pump. It'll be fine. The engine has knock sensors. It'll adapt. They're right. It does adapt. That's the problem. BMW's turbocharged engines. The N54, N55, B58 in your 3 Series, 5 Series, X5. Run on 91 octane minimum. When you put in 87, the knock sensors detect pre-ignition and retard the ignition timing to compensate. Power drops. Efficiency drops. And every tank of regular fuel accelerates carbon buildup on the intake valves. The kind that eventually means a walnut blasting service at $800 to $1,200 to clean out what the wrong fuel created. The engine adapts, but it pays for that adaptation every single time. And so will you. Mistake number 2. Never checking tire pressure. 30 seconds. Once a month. Most BMW owners haven't done it in 6 months. BMW's chassis is engineered around specific tire pressures. 32 to 36 psi front and rear, depending on your model. Drop 4 or 5 psi below spec, and the contact patch deforms. Handling balance shifts. Suspension components work harder on every bend. The damage is invisible until you pull the wheel off and find the inside edge worn through. By then you've already bought new tires and overworked the suspension components behind them. 30 seconds. A gauge from any parts store. Once a month. This is exactly how BMW suspension ends up worn out years before it should be. Mistake number 3. Fighting the climate control. Most drivers set the temperature to maximum cold, the fan to maximum speed, and leave it there for the whole journey. Stop doing that. The AC compressor runs off the engine. Maximum demand all day, every journey, degrades it faster than cyclical operation would. And when maximum cooling is combined with permanent manual recirculation, which we'll come back to at number 10, and trust me, you need to hear number 10. Moisture builds up in the evaporator ducting. The result is the musty smell that hits you every morning when you turn the fan on. Press auto. The BMW's own climate system is better at this than you are. This is exactly how a $1,200 evaporator job starts. From a button that costs nothing to use correctly. Those first 3 feel minor. The costs attached to them are not. What's coming next is where the workshop bills start arriving. And in a few minutes. Number 10. The one that affects almost everyone watching this right now. Stay with me. Mistake number 4. Sitting in drive at long stops. You're stationary at a level crossing. 2 minutes. Foot on the brake, car in drive. Feels like the obvious thing to do. But here's what most BMW owners don't realize is happening. In drive, the torque converter maintains a constant fluid coupling between the engine and the gearbox. That coupling generates continuous heat. Not dramatic heat, but sustained thermal stress on transmission fluid that was never designed to absorb it at a standstill. BMW's ZF 8-speed automatic, in most modern 3 Series, 5 Series, and X5, is ruthlessly sensitive to fluid condition. Heat is what degrades it. Degraded fluid is the leading cause of premature automatic transmission failure. And a transmission overhaul on one of these cars starts at $3,000. At any stop longer than 30 seconds, shift to neutral. 1 second, the torque converter load drops to 0. Over 100,000 miles of daily commuting, that habit is the difference between a transmission that lasts and one that doesn't. This is exactly how BMW transmissions end up failing before they should. Mistake number 5. Late hard braking every day. Not emergency stops. Not dramatic moments. Just the daily habit of leaving it too late. Every light, every junction, every roundabout, and relying on the brakes to do all the work. Most BMW owners don't realize how much a full brake service actually costs until they're standing at the service desk. On an X5, $1,500 or more, rotors and pads included. Every unnecessary hard stop generates heat the system has to absorb. Repeated thermal cycling warps rotors. It glazes pads. It pushes heat into the brake fluid, accelerating the moisture buildup that already makes biennial fluid changes non-negotiable on a BMW. Anticipate earlier. Lift off the throttle sooner. Let the car slow naturally. Use the brakes for the last 20%, not the full deceleration. Your rotors will last twice as long. Your pads will last twice as long, and you'll feel the difference in how the car handles. Mistake number 6. Living in sport mode. Sport mode is outstanding. Sharper throttle, tighter steering, longer gear holds, firmer adaptive dampers. It's exactly what it's supposed to be, when the road deserves it. The mistake is using it for everything. Most owners who do this don't realize what's happening. In sport mode, the transmission shifts under higher load more frequently. The engine runs at higher RPM for the same road speed. On BMWs with adaptive suspension, the X5, late 5 Series, 7 Series, the dampers stiffen continuously. Take that setup onto the school run, through the supermarket car park, over speed bumps and broken tarmac. Every pothole hits the suspension harder than it was designed for in that mode. Sport mode is not a personality setting. It's a tool. Use it for the right job. The car pays for the wrong one. Slowly, invisibly, over years. Mistake number 7. Only ever doing short trips. 5 minutes to the station. 3 miles to work. Start cold, drive cold. Park before the engine has ever reached operating temperature. If this is your daily reality, this is one of the most damaging usage patterns a turbocharged BMW can be put through. And it doesn't show up on any dashboard until it's too late. Cold oil is thick. It takes 3 to 5 minutes of gentle driving before it reaches working viscosity and flows properly to every bearing surface. In the journey before that happens, and those bearings have run the whole trip on oil that wasn't fully doing its job. Worse, short trips mean combustion byproducts and moisture never fully burn off from the oil. The condition-based servicing counter doesn't know your commute is 5 minutes. It counts miles. But the chemistry inside that engine is degrading faster than the number on the screen reflects. 1 longer run per week. 20 minutes minimum. That's not excessive. That's the minimum the engine needs to stay healthy on a short trip diet. Mistake number 8. Treating the car as a charging station. 2 USB phones. A dash cam. A SATA AV. A wireless charging pad. All running. All day, every journey. Individually, none of these are a problem. Together, as a daily permanent habit, they create a sustained parasitic load that BMW's power management system has to constantly offset. BMW AGM batteries. The correct type for any modern 5 Series or X5 cost $250 to $400. They're calibrated for a specific load profile. Push beyond that consistently, and the battery deep cycles more than it was designed to. Charge your phone at home. That one habit costs you a battery every 2 years instead of every 4. Mistake number 9. Driving through standing water without thinking. You've done this before. The flooded underpass. The deep puddle after rain. You drove through it slowly. It was fine. Fine and safe are not the same thing with standing water and a BMW engine. Water entering the air intake can reach the combustion chamber. Water does not compress. Pistons do. A small volume of water in a cylinder at the wrong moment produces a bent connecting rod or a cracked block. The engine does not survive. BMW air intakes, especially on M variants and lowered models, sit lower than most owners assume. Water that looks manageable from the driver's seat can be centimeters from that intake. If you can't see the road surface through the water, don't enter. If you must pass through it, walking pace only. Never speed. A bow wave from fast entry pushes water directly into the engine bay. One event. That's all it takes to total an otherwise perfect car. Mistake number 10. Using the recirculation button wrong. Here it is. The button on your climate panel. The one with the outline of a car and the curved arrow inside it. The air recirculation button. Most BMW owners press it automatically. Every journey. Summer, to keep the cool air in. Winter, to hold the warmth. In traffic, to block fumes from outside. It's one of the most used buttons in the car, and most owners have no idea what it's quietly doing. Here's why. When you press that button in manual mode, it closes off all fresh air intake from outside. The cabin becomes sealed. You and your passengers are recycling the same air over and over. Carbon dioxide levels rise. Oxygen levels fall. Research on sealed vehicle cabins consistently shows that elevated CO2, which starts building within minutes when passengers are present, measurably increases driver fatigue and reduces reaction time. You are not just pressing a button. You are making yourself a worse driver on every single journey where you leave it on. Now for the car. With manual recirculation locked on and the AC running, the evaporator coil, the component that removes heat and humidity from the cabin air, processes the same moisture-heavy recycled air continuously. Body heat, breath, damp coats. That moisture saturates the evaporator housing and the ducting behind the dashboard. The result, mold, bacterial growth. The musty smell that hits you when you turn the fan on first thing in the morning. That smell is not a quirk. That is your evaporator telling you it needs attention. On a BMW 5 Series or X5, a full evaporator replacement means removing significant portions of the dashboard. Labor alone, $800 to $1,200. Before the part, caused entirely by a button habit. BMW's own manual says it directly. Recirculation mode should not be used for extended periods because cabin air quality deteriorates steadily. BMW's own auto climate mode cycles between recirculation and fresh air automatically for exactly this reason. The engineers solved this problem. They put the solution in the system. Most owners override it every single day. The correct habit: use recirculation briefly when you're behind a diesel or in a tunnel. Then switch to full auto. Not manual recirculation, auto. And let the BMW manage it. That if your car already smells musty when the fan comes on, the damage has begun. Stopping now prevents it going further. Not stopping means a four-figure repair that was never necessary. That's number 10. The most common mistake on this entire list. And the easiest to fix, starting today. Mistake number 11. Riding the clutch in traffic. Manual BMW owners. This one is for you. Slow traffic. The temptation to manage speed by holding the clutch partially engaged. Creeping forward on slip rather than fully releasing and using the brake. The clutch is designed to slip for a fraction of a second during engagement, not continuously. Maintaining partial contact as a speed control generates sustained friction heat on the clutch face. Over time, that heat glazes and destroys the friction material at a rate that has nothing to do with mileage. BMW clutch replacement on an M3 or M4 starts at $1,500. In slow traffic, hold the car on the brake with the clutch fully released. Move only when there's space. One habit, half the wear. Mistake number 12. Ignoring the first sign of a new noise. BMW drivetrains are refined. When something starts making a noise it wasn't making last week, something has changed. Most owners file it away. Decide it's probably nothing. Drive on. Here's the reality. A noise that costs $200 to address today becomes $900 in 6 weeks. BMW components do not make new sounds randomly. A new noise is a symptom. It is never nothing. Note the conditions when you hear it. Speed, road surface, temperature. Tell your specialist at the next available opportunity. Don't wait for it to get louder. By the time it's loud, it's already expensive. Mistake number 13. Running the fuel tank to empty. Most owners think this is a minor habit. Mechanics who work on BMW fuel systems know differently. BMW's high-pressure fuel pumps. On N54, N55, and B58 direct injection engines rely on fuel passing through them for lubrication and cooling. Near empty means the pump draws from the bottom of the tank, where sediment sits. That sediment passes through precision internal components repeatedly. Over years of this habit, it degrades the pump. High-pressure fuel pump replacement on a turbocharged BMW, $600 to $1,200. Fill at a quarter tank. This is exactly the habit that separates a BMW at 150,000 miles that runs perfectly from one that's had 3 fuel system repairs. Mistake number 14. Pressure washing the engine bay. It looks like care. It feels like maintenance. A clean engine bay suggests a well-looked-after car. But BMW engine bays are dense with electronics. Connectors, sensors, control modules, wiring harnesses. Sealed for incidental water exposure, not for sustained high-pressure water from a power washer. Water forced into a connector pin under pressure doesn't dry. It corrodes. And corroded connector pins create intermittent electrical faults that are extraordinarily expensive to diagnose. Warning lights that appear and disappear, sensors reading incorrectly, fault codes that make no logical sense. These electrical ghosts sit in workshops for days before a technician traces everything back to a connector that a pressure washer destroyed 6 months earlier. Damp cloth. Low pressure. Away from all electrical components. The appearance of cleanliness is not worth the diagnostic bills. Mistake number 15. Parking on a slope without the handbrake first. This is about one small metal pin inside your automatic transmission. The parking pawl. That locks the output shaft when you select park. Most owners park on a slope, select park, release the foot brake, and then apply the handbrake. In that order. Wrong order. When you release the foot brake before the handbrake is applied, the full weight of the car transfers onto that parking pawl. It is not designed to be the primary anchor holding a 1,800-kilogram BMW on a slope. Correct sequence. Foot brake on, handbrake applied, then select park. The handbrake carries the load. The pawl is a backup. Parking pawl failure requires the gearbox to come out. Starts at $2,000. Prevented entirely by doing two things in the right order. Handbrake first. Every time. Mistake number 16. Using tap water in the washer reservoir. Quick one. But thousands of owners do this every week. BMW's washer jets are fine-bore precision nozzles. Tap water deposits limescale in the jets, the pump, and the supply lines. BMW's heated washer jets. Standard on many 5 Series and X5 models. Accelerate scale formation through the heating element. A block jet is a minor irritation. A pump that's burned out is a parts and labor job that never needed to happen. Screen wash concentrate, correct dilution, year-round. The cheapest preventive maintenance on this entire list. Mistake number 17. Trusting the computer over your own senses. BMW's condition-based servicing is smart software. For the right kind of driving. Longer runs, moderate conditions, consistent usage. It gives sound recommendations. But it cannot feel what you feel. It cannot smell what you smell. It cannot hear what you hear. The oil that smells slightly burnt at the dipstick. The engine that sounds fractionally different on cold starts this week compared to last month. The service interval that seems long given you've spent 3 months doing short urban trips in summer heat. These are signals the CBS system cannot process. It counts miles and monitors data points. It does not drive the car. Your instincts. When something feels off, when something sounds different, when something has changed, are valid data. Don't override them because a number on the screen says you have 3,000 miles to go. CBS is the guide. You are the filter. Trust both. 17 habits. All of them ordinary. All of them daily. None of them dramatic. Until they are. The BMW owners whose cars run cleanly at 150,000, 200,000 miles are not driving different cars to yours. They've just stopped doing these things. Small decisions, made differently, every single day. That is the entire difference. If number 10 made you think of something you did this morning, now you know why it matters. Subscribe for more of this. No guesswork. No dealer spin. Just what mechanics see every single day.